To close out the year, I'm rewinding and bringing back the most popular and most listened to episodes of 2024. I'll be back with new episodes on Monday, January 6th. But in the meantime, here is today's Best of Rewind episode. This week on the podcast, I'm bringing you segments of an interview I did with Jeremy Kyle. He is the host of the Retirement Revealed podcast. And like myself, he's also a financial advisor. So he's in the trenches every day working with his clients on many of these decisions that we talk about. So in today's episode, we're talking about retirement mistake number 3, according to Jeremy, and that is forgetting to plan for taxes in retirement. This is a big topic and one that I know is very popular. You know, we all want to pay as little taxes as we can possibly and legally do. And so Jeremy and I talk about how people oftentimes hand more money over to Uncle Sam than they need to. 2 big mistakes. We talked about the longevity issue and retiring earlier than you planned and also living longer than you planned, and then Social Security. So what's the third biggest mistake that you see people make with their retirement?
Yeah, the third biggest mistake you make with retirement is you forget to plan for the retirement taxes. When people come into my office and they're planning for retirement, they've got their spreadsheet of all their expenses. And they figure out, okay, I just need $5,000 a month or whatever that number is to live on in retirement. That's maybe another topic for another day, but chances are your spreadsheet's wrong. When you're starting from ground zero and building up your budget, you just ignore all reality and you think this is a perfect world. I'll never go out to eat. My cable bill will never change, things like that. But even if you got your spreadsheet correct, this is the amount you need for retirement, you almost always forget healthcare and taxes, which makes sense because your paycheck that you're living off of already took out your health costs and your taxes. And your taxes especially, I like to, when you plan it out, have a specific line item. Okay, I need $5,000 a month for living, but what's your specific line item for taxes? And when you have that specific line item for taxes, it helps you recognize that this is variable and you can make decisions on it. You could pay taxes early to save taxes later on. Most people, when they realize that, oh yeah, I forgot to plan for taxes. What do I need to put? Like just 20% on there? Like this static number, like you retire and the government sends you a card saying you pay 20% taxes for the rest of your lifetime. That's not the case. Your taxes fluctuate wildly up and down throughout time based on whether you're retired or not, whether you are married or single, you file for Social Security, are you on required minimum distributions? The tax laws are changing in 2026. There's a lot of things that change with your taxes. And you've got the most ability to control your taxes in retirement than you've ever had before. Because you can choose which accounts you take money from. You can choose when you take money out. If you take money in December or January, right, that could be a week's difference, but it's 2 different tax years. Or you've got traditional accounts, Roth accounts, regular brokerage accounts, and savings accounts. Those are 4 different accounts with 4 different tax situations. So you've got all this ability to control your taxes. And when you take that control, I often see you can cut your lifetime tax bill by 20% or more, often $100,000 or more in lifetime tax savings because you took control and you chose to pay taxes when you see that you're likely to have a low tax rate so that you can avoid the taxes later on when you're likely to have a higher tax rate. So not just throw a 20% number into your spreadsheet to say that's how much I need to plan for taxes, but proactively say, I'm going to do things today to save on taxes in the future.
So you're talking about withdrawals and the timing of that and which accounts to withdraw from. And so what kind of specific advice or guidance would you give somebody who has all these different types of accounts and maybe not quite to that required minimum distribution age from their IRA or 401k? Because I know the standard advice is, well, just take everything out from your taxable accounts first. And then when you get to your RMD, required minimum distribution age, then you can start taking the IRA withdrawals. But then you have to deal with the capital gains taxes. So there's just so much to unpack there. And I think it's tricky because there's not really this like blanket advice that works for everybody. So how would you recommend people approach that withdrawal taxes and trying to keep their taxes to a minimum?
The blanket advice is look for the times when your taxes are likely to be lower and pay taxes in, and look for the times when your taxes are likely to be higher and avoid the taxes in. And your taxes are likely to be lower when the stock market's lower before 2026 when the taxes are expected to grow, before you turn on Social Security, before your required minimum distributions start, before one of you dies and you go from married filing joint to now the single taxpayer. So that's just kind of a generalization. When you're looking at these things, you might add up and say, oh, the market's at a high point, but it's before 2026 and I haven't filed for Social Security, I'm not on RMD and I'm married, right? You've got like 4 yeses for the low taxes and one yes for the high tax situation. The DAC is stuck towards maybe pay taxes now if that's your situation.